Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1896. Oh, hang on, I get to cross that one off. Hang on. There we go. Networking Riches Day 1. So, first of all, thoughts and prayers to those that are in Florida right now, where Milton has, I understand, hit the land. So, and there's lots of flooding and lightning and tornadoes and all sorts of bad weather, really extreme bad weather stuff going on. So thoughts and prayers to all my family and friends that are in Florida. Please, 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 please stay safe. And thoughts and prayers are with you guys. So after all that excitement, let's see, Networking Riches Day 1. I love networking. Did I ever tell you how much I love networking riches? I love networking riches. I always learn something new, even though, I've been involved with Networking Riches for the last 10 years, 10 and a bit years. Yes, was it May or June of 2014 we had our first one. So it's been going for over 10 years now, and I absolutely love it. So we had a lot of new people today, which was awesome. And I was like, yay! I love getting new people because I'm always interested to see what are the nuggets that they pick up, what are the things that stand out to them. And then, of course, those that are returning, what new things did they learn? So we had some people that learned some new things today. Well, lots of people that learned new things today. It was really, really cool. We had a cool breakthrough zone session and narrowed in on one person's business and helped them get started. I always take notes during the breakthrough zone sessions. The other ones, I take a little note here and there, and but then the breakthrough zone, I'm always taking screeds of notes because you never know. Maybe their business was. This one was a bookkeeping business, and what does that have to do with genealogy? Well, actually, a lot. If you think about it, we still have to keep our books. So knowing somebody that's out there that's good at keeping books, where I'm okay. Accounting in school, when I did high school accounting 41 years ago. Oh, that's weird. Just got a pain in my neck. Must have been laying on it wrong. I was snoozing, and then I got up from my snooze to come in here and do the thing. And then my friend sent me a message, and so we would just be messaging backwards and forwards. And I suddenly realized what the time was. Like, oh crap! I gotta go. So yes. What are we talking about? Bookkeeping. Yes. So bookkeeping, I need to know. That was my favorite subject in high school, and I got an A in the class. I got an A for effort and an A on my grades and that sort of stuff too. So, it was a pretty cool. But I know how important bookkeeping is, and I hate bookkeeping. I can do the basics. Yeah, but I don't love the numbers as much as I used to back in high school. I don't know. I guess it's because it was like a problem to solve, and I love solving problems. So I do love solving problems. That's why I like genealogy, because you're solving it's a puzzle. You got to solve the puzzle. Yeah. Accounting's a puzzle. Although, not really, because it's got to be, for every debit there has to be a credit. For every credit there has to be a debit. They have to balance each other. So remember balance sheets, profit and loss statements. I remember those. But anyway, so it was good to, but this time we weren't looking at the actual business side at the actual, the numbers and everything. It was increasing business. So we weren't actually talking about doing the books. We were talking about increasing the business. So that was pretty cool. It was awesome. I'm going to get my notes. Let's see, what else did we do? Yeah, and there was a lot of stuff that was suggested by the coaches for this person to do for their bookkeeping business. I'm like, oh, I can do that. I can do that. That applies to my business. I can do that. Which is the whole point of the breakthrough session, is that when we get somebody in the breakthrough zone, is that they give us one problem that they have, and then the coaches go to town on different ideas and things. And a lot of times, a lot of what they are teaching, or they are coaching for whatever business is sitting in the chair, can be applied to any business, which is awesome. And then for those that are specific to that one, instead of just going, oh, he's a bookkeeper. His business has nothing to do with mine. No. There was a lot of great information there that I can go and apply to my genealogy business. So it was, it was, yes, very eye-opening in some regards. It's sort of like, oh, yeah, I used to do that. Why don't I do that anymore? So there's a lot of refresher and reminding stuff in there as well. Throughout the day with the Networking Riches, Casey had tightened things up a little bit. And afterwards, I'm like, what happened to this? We didn't do that. Why did we not do that? So yeah, it was interesting, and but it was good. We got some great people in there, and as usual, we had a blast. Can I ever find anything bad to say about Networking Riches? No. People always ask me, do you ever say anything bad about Networking Riches? I go, no. They're like, why? I said, because I always learn something every time I go. I've been going, this thing for 10 years, and I've missed 2.5. Sorry, I have now missed 3 in total. 2 halves. Yeah, 2 wholes and 2 halves. Because the last Networking Riches that we had in August, we had to switch the date up. And I was there for day 1, but I couldn't be there for day 2. So, and then of course the other half before that it was a 1-day event, and I was on and off most of the day because I was doing it from in 2017 because I was doing it from Brad's bedside in the hospital, and so I had to go off whenever any of the medical staff came in to do whatever, discuss whatever. So I only counted it as like a half day on that one. But now that it's because that was a 1-day event. And now that it was a 2-day event in August, I could only be there for 1 day. I had to head out to California to take care of the grandkids. So yeah, the second day, day 2, I was driving from Arizona to California. So I couldn't go. Which is a shame because they had a really good group of people that time. We had a really good group of people today too. So it was good. There was a lot of things in there. So what things did I learn? One of the biggest things I learned was taking away the scary. Why are people scared of researching their family tree? Why are people, well, in this case, why are people afraid to go to a bookkeeper? Was basically the thing. So it's take away the scary. Share, create content of, what are the problems that somebody would have with bookkeeping, and what resolutions can you provide as a bookkeeper? So what problems will people have with research and genealogy, and what solutions can I provide? People could come up, they don't know where to start. I can help you get started. I can take the scary out of getting started. It's a very simple process. What happens when you come up against a brick wall? That's okay. We have workarounds. Sometimes the information may not be available because you've got to actually go in person to get the information. But for what's available online, we can show you different ways that you can extract different information that will help you get to where you need to go. It's sort of like, what if I do the DNA test and skeletons come out of the closet? Skeletons are going to come out of the closet anyway on DNA. DNA is, and I belong to several Facebook groups that all deal with DNA, whether it's Ancestry, Family Tree, DNA, 23andMe, what are the other ones out there? It doesn't matter which program you use, but a lot of times it's very interesting to see some of the comments in there, and people are sort of like, well, let's come up with this. I don't know what to do. And it's sort of like, it's not rocket science. Well, actually, no, it isn't. It isn't rocket science. It's biology science. I think that's the right term. Biology for DNA? I think so. So it's not rocket science. But it does, DNA provides, some people think that with DNA, that when you get your results, that it's going to tell you that and you get the matches. And they're sort of like, well, why can I find this number of matches on here, but on this program, I can only find this number of matches? And it's sort of like, hang on, they're 2 separate programs. One person one time asked, well, on 23andMe, I've got 1,500 matches. On Ancestry, I've got 2,400 matches, and none of the ones that are on 23andMe are on Ancestry. And we're sort of like, because they did 2 different tests. If they don't upload their DNA, and you can upload your DNA results from a different testing area, I actually did 3 separate tests. I did Family Tree DNA first, then I did 23andMe, and then I did Ancestry as the last one, and that was over a 6-month period. And yes, I did get slightly different results for ethnicity, but the ethnicity is pretty accurate in some cases, but you got to remember, they're sort of like, my family comes from Italy, and then showing no Italian on there. Well, who settled Italy? It could be that your family, and they said, it says that we've got Russian in us, and we're sort of like, people migrated from Russia down to Italy. So, and you've got to remember, it doesn't go back just to the current generations. It goes back generations after generations after generations. It goes all the way back. So the DNA that you're carrying is not just from your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-grandparents. No, it keeps going. It's from generations. That DNA stuff comes down through the generations. And some of them have, like my mother's father is 100%, was born and raised in Scotland by parents who were born and raised in Scotland, by their parents who were born and raised in Scotland. So I'm thinking, I got a lot of Scottish in me. I don't have that much in me when you think about that, because the reason I don't have as much Scottish in me as I thought I did, one, I get a different mix of DNA from both parents, and they will not be the same. There will not be the same types of DNA that my brother would get from both parents, because it's a mixture. We just get a random 24, I don't remember the numbers, 24 chromosomes from each parent. It's a random selection. It is not the same selection every time. So he may show a stronger, I've got to get him to do a DNA test at some point. So he may show that he has stronger Scottish ancestry in him than I do. And then because my Scottish ancestry was like pretty solid at the beginning, but because of the way the databases have increased over time, they now have a bigger pool of DNA to pull results from, and that's why your DNA results are always changing, because the testing pool for DNA results are increasing all the time. So so they will update your results. The larger the pool of DNA they get, the more accurate the results will get as they go down. And so I don't have as much. I started off I think my first DNA showed me I had 24% Scots. I know it was a high number. It showed, the very first one I got showed that I was basically Scottish and English and Cornish. But for some reason, Cornwall has its own set of DNA. Don't know why. So I was very strong on English, Cornish, and Scottish. Those were basically the only three main ones that I had. Now it's more English, more Cornish, less Scottish. The Irish is in there. The Irish side's in there as well. And it turns out I've got more Irish DNA from my mum's side of the family than my dad's side of the family, yet I haven't proven yet that anybody on mum's side of the family came from Ireland. We've got these Scottish ancestors, these Cornish ancestors on my mum's side of the family, and on my dad's side of the family, I've got in there Irish, Cornish, English. There is a Scots connection in there as well. It's like my third great grandmother. We're not sure if she was born in Scotland and moved to Ireland, or because we know she married an Irishman, but we weren't sure where she was born. We haven't found her place. There's rumor that she actually came from Scotland, and I have Scottish DNA on my dad's side of the family. So what is interesting is on my mum's side of the family, I have more Irish than Scottish, and yet I haven't found any Irish connections yet on my mum's side of the family. On my dad's side of the family, I have more Scottish than I have Irish, which I thought was very interesting, since I have a stronger connection with Ireland on my dad's side of the family than I do with my mum's side, and the same with the Scottish. More on my mum's side than I have on my dad's, yet the DNA shows that my dad's family, I've got, and this is the mix that I got from my parents. My brother may show the complete opposite when I get him to do his DNA test. So, I'll keep you posted on that one. But it's taking the scary out of it. And yes, there are surprises that will come up. There are cases where people, for their entire lives, thought that, these are my parents. And then when the DNA tests come through, they've got no blood connection to them whatsoever. Yeah. They find out that, at the age of 50 something, they find out that they were actually adopted. I have seen that happen. I have seen where one grandmother, they traced back through, was it the maternal side or the paternal side? I think it was on the maternal side. And the grandmother had no relation to her daughter. The daughter had DNA matches with her father's side of the family, but had none at all, which is really, really uncommon. Had no relations whatsoever to her mother's side of the family. So this poor granddaughter sitting there going, well, what happened here? And it turned out that her mother was a product of an affair that father had had, and father had brought the baby home, and it was raised as theirs instead of his. Yes, and that came out in the DNA testing. So there are things that are going to come out in DNA testing, and you have to be prepared for it. Yeah, and if you are somebody who's getting family members to do DNA testing, because the more you can get doing DNA testing, the more complete picture you see, because you are taking little bits from here, little bits from there. So if you have like 10 siblings, get all 10 of you to do DNA testing. There's going to be a little bits of overlap here and there, but mostly you're going to get a really good picture of your family with all the cousins and everything, because all the siblings have taken the DNA test. So you get a bigger, broader picture when it comes to matching up with cousins, because there are going to be because of the mix of DNA that you get, the random selection, you may show that you're not DNA matched with some of your cousins who are most definitely your cousins, because you can prove it through genealogy, but you're not a match for the DNA. But your sibling, one or two of your siblings, may be connected to them with a DNA match. It happens because it depends on the mix of DNA you get from mum, the mix of DNA you get from dad. That gets mixed together and creates you. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't science wonderful? I mean, this whole DNA thing, as I am learning it just fascinates me. And at first, I was very wary of the DNA stuff because I didn't know enough. But the more so I figured I'm going to do the DNA tests anyway. So let's get that done. And so I got those done. And this was in 2017 or 2018. I'm trying to remember if I did it before or after Brad passed. It was either the beginning of 2017 or the beginning of 2018 when I did them. I'm trying to remember. When I first did the tests. I have a feeling it might have been after he had passed. I'd have to go back and have a look. But I think it might have been either the beginning of 2017 or the beginning of 2018. And so it was scary, trying to interpret these results and things. What does this mean? And it was showing my aunt as my first cousin. And I'm like, no, that's my aunt. I know that. She is my aunt. She is not my first cousin. So there's things that that, and you go through and you go, oh, yep, that's my second cousin, that's my third cousin, that's my fourth cousin, and you can put, and in the things you can actually put in there the relationship that you have with that person that you have proven through genealogy, because DNA will show you will show that you are related by blood, but not how you are related. Genealogy brings in the how you are related, and a lot of people are under that misconception that oh, well, according to the DNA test, it says that this person here is my first cousin. I've never met this person before. I don't know how they're my first cousin. Well, maybe they're first cousin. And, people are offering their opinions. It's like, people, hello. They're just basing it on the predicted centimorgans. And centimorgans are these little measuring thingy. I don't fully understand centimorgans. I just know that a certain percent, the higher the percentage, the higher the closer you are related to that person. The lower the number, the further distance that there is between you and that person. And so they're going on the centimorgans going, well, this person shows us that's and so somebody even put this chart in there. Well, if you've got between these percentage and this percentage, then you're on these, one of these types of relationships and all that. And I'm like, I get in there and I'm like, yeah, no. I said, that is a very loose table to go to. I said, one of the very first things I learned on my very first DNA course was DNA will not show you how you are related. It just shows that you are related by blood. Genealogy will prove how you are related. So it's so you got to put the two together to get the full picture. And I said, and I can tell you right now that those centimorgans are completely off. I had one that told me that this person was a second or third cousin on my dad's side of the family. When we did the genealogy, we found that she was my third cousin on my mum's side of the family. So I said I use them as a loose guide as to work out how many generations do I have to research to see if I can find the link to this person. but it may be wrong. And I've had people that they put it on my, like I had a second cousin they put on my mum's side of the family as a fourth or fifth cousin. And when we did the genealogy, she was a second cousin on my dad's side of the family. No relation, no connection to my mum's side of the family at all. So these are some of the examples I've given in some of these DNA Facebook groups of, like, these things are just loose guides, so that you kind of, I said, I just use them as a loose guide for to tell me how many generations do I have to figure out the connection between this person. And I totally disregard the paternal versus maternal unless I know for a fact that that person happens to be on my dad's side of the family, because it could be their last name. And I know that their last name's on my dad's side of the family because I've already found other relatives who I'm connected to through DNA. And this person happens to have the same last name as somebody else that I've already proven a connection to. And 9 times out of 10, that person that I know that I have already have a DNA connection with somebody with that last name, is because this is now the child of the person I have already proven the DNA match to. So you can't just turn around and look at the predictions that they have on there saying, oh, this could be your second or third cousin, or this could be your fourth or fifth cousin. This could be, and they're on your maternal side. Well, they may end up being on my paternal side. Are there cases where you have DNA matches for one person and you've got a DNA match on your mum's side and your dad's side? Absolutely. Somewhere along the line, somebody on your dad's side, somebody on your mum's side got together, and that's going to prove that connection there once you do the genealogy of it. So yes, that does happen, where you have people from the maternal side and the paternal side that come together. They have kids, and that is the tie to both sides of the family. And they happen to be, up here, and we've got this great grandparent in common, and you work it down, and they're on both sides of the family. Could they be second cousin on one side and third cousin on the other side? Absolutely. That is absolutely possible. So when you're looking at those DNA results and it says, oh, this is your paternal side, third or fourth cousin, maybe. So there have been a few cases on my own DNA matches where I have proven through genealogy that the person that I have got that DNA match is not on my paternal side, but on my maternal side, and vice versa. Not on my maternal, it says it's on my maternal side, but it's actually on my paternal side. So there are cases where, quite a few actually, where that has happened, and they said, oh, this is either your second or third cousin, and I go and I do the research, and they're like fourth or fifth. Or they've listed it fourth or fifth, and they're actually like a third cousin. In some cases, a second cousin. So going by the centimorgans and the percentages and all that, and yes, you will find charts up the wazoo on Google. If you go to Google, centimorgan charts, and yes, you will find them. Some of them are accurate, yes. But I'm finding when I'm researching the DNA matches that they're just there as a guide. They're there as a guide. Yet people are going, but this here says that they were the second or third cousins, and I don't know this person, and I can't find this name in the family, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sort of like, go back to basics. Send a note to that person, a message to that person, say, hey, got you on my ancestry DNA matching, and it says that we're this. Who are your great-grandparents and who are your first great-grandparents and your second great-grandparents? Maybe even go to the third great-grandparent. In some cases, I've gone to the third great-grandparent. And they'll come back and tell me, and I'm sort of like, I don't have any of those in my tree. But you also have to remember that you have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 second great-grandparents, and 32 third great-grandparents. That's a lot of people. If you want to keep going, your fourth great-grandparents, there's 64 of those. There's 128 fifth great-grandparents and 256 sixth great-grandparents. Think about that. Yeah, there's a lot of variety in there. And I would even tell you, even DNA matching. I had a DNA match with somebody in Canada, and it turned out he was my 7th cousin, one time removed. And then a few weeks later, I met these 2 people who were in this Facebook group I belong to, where we're all descendants from this one family name, and they were in Wales, and I have a DNA match with one of them, but not the other, and yet they happen to be first cousins. Yes, they happen to be first cousins, and they have known each other their entire lives, grown up with each other their entire lives. They're first cousins. I have a DNA match with one of them, but not the other. Why? Because it's the mix I got from my mother, because that's on my mother's side of the family. But it turns out they were my 7th cousins, But not only were they my 7th cousins, they were first cousins once removed with the guy from Canada, who I was 7th cousins once removed from. So we had a little family reunion on that one. Anyway, so with that, oh my gosh, so many topics. With that, I'm out of here. I've got day 2 tomorrow, so I've got to go walk Zeffy right now. You're going to go for a walk in the dark, Zeff? Yeah. Yes, so go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. For those in Florida, in the outer bands of Milton, please stay safe. Please stay safe. We will catch you guys back here tomorrow evening.